There's a lot of buzz about the new stadium project. Will the North Endzone be complete by the season opener?
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. On today's episode, we discuss how well the Vandy baseball team did in the MLB draft. 7 players. Vandy's defense will have to find a way to adapt without Marlon Jones. So who's next? But first, there's a lot of buzz surrounding the new stadium project. Will the North Endzone part of the project be complete by the season opener? So that question remains to be seen. So if you look on Vanderbilt Athletics website, they do have a link. I think it's on Vandy United. There's some links on YouTube. There's YouTube links with construction cams, so you can watch in like real time. If you're like a construction nerd, you can really kind of see it. And you know, if that's your thing, like you can watch it. You can watch it being built in real time. So there's a lot of buzz around it because like it's going to be super nice, man. It's going to be it's going to add a lot of allure to the stadium. It's going to make the stadium look like an actual, you know, college stadium. It's going to have nice amenities, like we've been over, like what the North Endzone will actually have. But like it's it's already sold out too. So like you know the buzz is there, and I don't know if it's sold out because of the opposing fans buying it. I hope that's not the case, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a really good project. It's going to be a really good section. I think fans are going to have a lot of good positive experiences within the North, especially the North Endzone, but like both the North and South Endzone, they're making a lot of progress. And so I think it'll add to, the whole goal of getting Vandy fans back in the stadium, getting Vandy fans excited about something will help this team, will help what's happening, will help what the biggest problem for Vandy football is the attendance. And so it's a nice recruiting tool. I know prospects will come to the stadium and go, okay, well, I can see the vision now. I can see that, like, my parents can go here. They can enjoy these amenities. They can, there's a lot of cool stuff about the North Endzone and really the South Endzone too. There's going to be some things attached to it that the players will have access to during the week as well, like dining halls. I think there's going to be, the basketball team is going to be on the North Endzone. There's going to be a portion of that project that's dedicated to the basketball program that will connect to Memorial Gym. So a lot to be had with this project. And it's and I think, honestly, what's getting a lot of people fired up about this is the fact that when you turn on NCAA 25, it's the new Vandy Stadium. And it looks phenomenal. All right. It looks cool. Like the way the seating is arranged, like visually, you walk in there and it's not just some like thrown together club section of premium seats. It is the look to it. There's a massive video board on the North Endzone. There's going to be one in the South Endzone as well. There's going to be field level boxes that are right there on top of the end zone there. There's going to be some really kind of unique seating options that fans can enjoy. And I think they're going to make it to where it's enticing for Vanderbilt supporters to be able to access those seats. And they're going to, and I hope in the world of ticketing for Vandy football, they do some other things to entice Vandy fans not to sell to the market, which is the opposing teams that want to come to Vanderbilt for vacation, flood the stadium. We'll see kind of what happens with Virginia Tech. Hopefully it doesn't. So if you're a Vandy fan listening to this, make sure you attend the Virginia Tech game. Make sure you attend that. So, but the North Endzone looks like it's coming along quite nicely. I think it's going to be right down to the wire, obviously, but knock on wood, the weather has been really good as far as them being able to work. It's been hotter than you know what, but just the weather has cooperated as far as like not any major storms, not any major inclement weather that would disrupt the progress of the build. They might have to go into overtime a little bit in the month of August. They have about a month and a half to really make some progress. But if you look, a couple of weeks ago, the turf, I think, cut off at like the 30, and it was just dirt. So most of the end zone is in now as far as the turf goes. So they're starting to lay the playing surface back down to get it nice and settled before the season starts. So that's promising for what, for what is anticipated to be some really, really good seating. But, you hope that you can get those field level seats available, or worst case scenario, maybe you throw some temporary seats in there for fans to be able to enjoy. You may not be able to access the suites yet, and those season ticket holders may get a refund for this season or may get a credit for the 2025 season. Whatever the case may be, they might have to refund those things if those suites aren't ready, or they might refund like single games or whatever the case is. I don't know exactly where they stand. I know it's starting to come together. If you watch that YouTube feed, it's starting to really, really look nice, take shape. I think the visual of it, the big massive video board, the facade right there, it's going to be like a black and gold facade. There's going to be seats right there in the front. It's going to kind of close it in. I think it's going to, for noise, I think it's going to make a stadium a little bit louder because there's not going to be that open end. When it's all done, it's going to be more enclosed. So I think it's going to trap the sound a little bit. So I'm looking forward to kind of seeing the finished product in person and seeing kind of if that has any effect. It should have effect on the home crowd, meaning, hey, we got some nice stuff happening with our stadium. Maybe it's a enticing place to play. Like I understand, because I've been to Vanderbilt stadiums several times. I understand why people don't really want to go there, because the concourses are very claustrophobic and tight. The stadium it hadn't been worked on since the 80s, and the product inside the stadium hasn't been great. But like, if it's a good experience, people will still come because people are overall loyal. So I think, this is a step in the right direction. So a lot of buzz, though, a lot of people excited about this. And for, after next year, no more dressing in a temporary tent, no more hanging scoreboards from a crane. I'm going to miss that, because that was the best part of the stadium. The scoreboard swaying precariously over you're just like, oh boy, this is not going to be like a wayward field goal hits that thing in the wrong place, and here we go. It's crashing down. I'm going to miss not having my forklift seats. I bought the forklift in the south end zone, right near the goalpost. And we had two forks there. It was great. I sat on one fork, and, I had friends for the other fork. So that was cool. I'm going to miss those seats dearly. And I think it's, but in all seriousness, the recruiting tool of like actually having a fairly nice stadium, is going to be good. I think people are going to start taking Vanderbilt athletics a little more seriously with the look of this stadium. There's going to be some, the video game is actually helping that buzz. I think people seeing how the stadium looks in the video game is absolutely incredible. But there's a lot of buzz around the program. Not all of it positive, unfortunately. Marlon Jones is out for 2024. So how is Vandy going to? How are they going to adapt? We'll talk about it next. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Did you know that Gametime is the authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball? Well, now you do. And it makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. So when you browse through Gametime, you'll see a lot of different things. One thing you'll see is last-minute deals, and those are incredible because they can get up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, whatever is going on in your area, in your city. They have flash deals, so you can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of a game or an event. They have all-in pricing. If you toggle this feature, it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. So that's another positive thing. Here's my favorite part, the seat views. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. I love this. But they have the lowest ticket price guarantee, or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. That's customer service. And customer service that covers your purchase with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. That's what makes them the best. So what you need to do is take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, welcome back. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN? Well, if you are, you're probably tired of all the screaming and the shouting, and you have to turn the TV down. Like, it's annoying. So what you need to do is make the switch to Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 streaming channel program for you every day to get you the biggest stories without all the shouting. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Speaking of every day, shout out to you everydayers. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you. Make sure you spread the word to your friends and make sure you let them know that Number One Vandy show on the market. It's what we do. Talking Vandy, talking Vandy football, Vandy basketball, Vandy baseball, Vandy all the time, all day, every day. It's the Vanderbilt Commodores every day. That's kind of our motto here at the Locked On Network. So, but the football team is going to take a hit. Defense secondary is going to take a hit. What seemed to be a promising position group with the corners, still promising, but they're just going to be one short. And it's going to be Marlon Jones. He's out for the 2024 season, unfortunately. And it's the situation's a little bit vague. I think they're still trying to pick through and see what actually it is, because it is there's very little out there. There's rumors that it was admissions. He didn't get in, not enough credits, things didn't transfer, stuff like that. There's rumors of that. So I'm saying it's a personal situation. But what I can tell you is he didn't decommit. There's no ill will. There's no it just seems like one of those situations where negative things just aligned all at the same time to reach a imperfect pinnacle. And so Marlon Jones, it affects him in a way that he's going to have to skip this season, sit out, and do, whatever it is he does this season. And so the hope is that he's back next year if it is indeed nothing personal or nothing against Vandy in his eyes. So you hope that things get figured out and the situation gets squared away. But it's going to be it's going to be interesting, to say the least, as more information on this comes out. But all I know is all conference corner from the FCS level, Eastern Washington, will not be a part of the team. So where does that leave the rest of the group? Okay. This is a tough spot because, you had it kind of set to where you had Mark Davis, Marlon Jones as your top two corners. You had Colby Taylor, kind of that bigger corner that's going to cover slot receiver things. And you had some other guys that were kind of in the mix that were going to be rotational guys, things like that. But that kind of gets torpedoed now a little bit. And unfortunately, it's not a great situation. You lose a little bit of depth where a lot of positions you can't lose depth at right now because Vanderbilt just does not have a lot of depth. They have a lot of quality, just not enough of them yet. And that's going to be, and that's part of what Coach Lee was talking about with the NIL stuff and getting behind and roster transformation. Like they're just behind in that. So it is what it is. Some guys are going to have to really step up. Like Martell Height, Alvin Williamson coming in as a freshman from Sabalo. He may be pressed into action. Martell Height, who had a really nice social media viral clip of him making a backwards diving one-handed interception. So like he might get some more run out there, which is perfectly fine with me. Jalen Lackey, freshman from South Gwinnett in Atlanta, might be pressed into action. You have a freshman from Smyrna coming in, Thomas Jones, that might be asked to get some time in. Junior Trudell Berry from Texas. He's going to, at 6'1", 185, he's going to be called upon. Alan Wright, a senior from Woodward Academy and down in my neck of the woods, my hometown. So just some things to watch out for because, you have some – there's some guys there, and there's some very capable guys, but just don't know about them, right? Especially these freshmen. Like when you're relying on a freshman at a position like that, it gets a little tricky because the psychology of the cornerback position is tough because you have to have a certain mindset. And freshmen, I love them, but freshman corners just don't quite have that mindset because you have to be aggressive, you have to be cocky, and you have to have a short memory. And a lot of times freshmen just aren't adapted yet mentally, and a bad play could cripple them for a game or two or a whole season. They could go in the tank. You just don't know with freshmen, right? And you have to if you're going to use freshmen, you're going to have to use them in situations that are advantageous to them. You have to kind of put them here and there, sprinkle them in a little bit, give them some action, give them enough to feel good about themselves and feel confident. Because if you put a guy that's not confident and he delays a half second with his release and tracking the receiver that he's guarding, especially if it's man, that's all that receiver needs is that half second of uncertainty, and he's got you, right? And so that's what these freshmen are going to, and these younger guys are going to have to battle against. Like Martell Height is a sophomore, he's got a little bit of experience, but still, like you're relying on possibly a young guy. Tyson Russell is a senior that's going to have to step up. He played his football at St. Thomas Aquinas. So, I mean, you have some guys there in the mix that could come in and really kind of make a little bit of noise here. And some of these older guys like that can kind of teach these freshmen. So it might be a little more rotational. The coverages we just don't know where the coverages are going to be either. Like we don't know what Clark Lee is kind of leaning towards. With what he had, you have to think that he was leaning a little towards man coverage. But now with the loss of Marlon Jones for the season, do you go more zone? Do you go more match zone, match 3, match 4? Do you go combo coverages? Do you play it week to week? Do you teach them a lot of different things? What I'm interested in is how they're going to adjust what they do. Are they going to be any less aggressive up front because now the confidence isn't as high on those guys? Like, what do you do there? And so I like the idea of rotating guys. I like the idea of, you got Colby Taylor out there. He's a massive presence. He's still fairly raw in his ability to kind of being 6'3", 6'4", like flip turning is tough. He'll be, I think when he's in, he'll be geared more towards zone coverage, or if he's in like nickel packages, like if they go like a 3-corner look, like he would be in on the interior guys. But like, Allen Wright, Tyson Russell, Martell Height, those guys, Trudell Berry, they're going to have to step up. And they're going to have to make some plays. And Clark Lee, I think Clark Lee is, as a defensive coordinator, he's looking at this going, oh boy, now this is my first big hurdle of this new infrastructure. I'll say new regime because he's still the leader, but like just about everything underneath him has changed. And so it's really just kind of a new regime with the same leader. And this is really one of the first major hurdles or major obstacles they've had to overcome. So we'll see kind of if that changes anything schematically for him, if that changes anything personnel wise for the defense. Do they adjust some of their packages to have 3 corners out there? Does Dante Carter, who's played a little bit of corner, does he cross train with safety and corner? I don't know. I think there's enough guys over there that you don't have to do that. But like from a quality standpoint, is it going to come to that? There's a lot of questions to be answered. And with fall camp right around the corner, I think it's going to be a perfect opportunity for them to kind of answer those questions. And I can't wait to see kind of what they do in that. And I'm excited for this cornerback position. I'm excited for some of these other guys to kind of shine as well. I'm excited for somebody to emerge. I think you have Mark Davis locked in, right? I think at 6'2", 200 pounds, all conference coming from Southern Illinois. I think he's, I'm going to safely say this is based off pure speculation. This is based on pure nothing at all, no insider information on this at all. It's just a gut feeling that I think he's going to be one of the corners, and I think you're going to see a revolving door at the other spot. I think you're going to see some guys kind of get in there and compete. Like I think Alvin Williamson as a freshman at that position is going to give them a run for their money. I really like Trudell Berry. I think he's somebody that can really do some damage here. At 6'1", 185, you have those bigger, more physical corners, which, the bigger, older guys, I think Colby Taylor has a shot, although on the outside they might, I don't know, like speed wise, how he compares to the other guys. So it's going to be, it's certainly going to be fascinating how they progress through this dilemma. Are they going to turn it to lemonade? So anyway, that's my dad joke for the week. So before we let you go for the weekend, we got a little bit of Vandy baseball news. Vandy boys, you don't want to miss this. Hang on. After these messages, we'll be right back. All right, welcome in segment number 3. We're going to wrap up the show and get you into the weekend here in just a few minutes. But would be remiss if I didn't tell you thank you to the Everydayers for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. However you found us, however you're listening to me, thank you. If you're a new listener, welcome aboard, and hope you guys stick around for the ride. I am a football guy by nature, so as we get closer to football season, it's going to get, I think some of my best shows are still ahead of me here with all this football talk. So if you want a true football guy, I am a true football guy. I coached here in Nashville for the last 13 seasons. I'm taking a brief break. I want to grow this podcast. Opportunities just aren't aplenty with coaching, or the ones that I feel like I could be a little more selective with the years that I've put in. But I'm going to take this season off, kind of give myself a chance to recharge, grow the Locked On Vandy podcast, and rock and roll maybe next year, if at all. So I got some things to think about in the war of coaching, but I've been there. Football's my thing, so stay tuned. Make sure you make Locked On SEC your second listen. Chris Gordy does a phenomenal job. So the Vandy boys. So yeah, it was a disappointing season. Okay. And I get that. They still made it to the regional, got bumped pretty quickly in the regional, but it's not without saying that they had a loaded roster. It's just kind of disappointing how things played out. Injuries, couldn't get it done to the plate, all that good stuff. So, but anyway, when you look at the MLB draft, it kind of tells you where Vandy's talent level is, right? They have a talented roster. They just kind of mismanaged it a little bit. All right. But they had 7 guys drafted in the 2024 MLB draft. This is yet another year since 2004. So there have been multiple Commodores taken in every draft since 2004, with 6 or more players being selected in 4 consecutive drafts. All time, Vandy has more than 200 players selected, including 152 since the year 2003. So 80 Vanderbilt pitchers have been selected since 2003. So that's pretty freaking good. 4 of those 80 were taken this year. Bryce Cunningham, second rounder, picked by the Yankees at pick 53. About 9 picks later, Carter Holton goes in the second round at number 62 to the Atlanta Braves. So go Braves. So 2 arms right there. Grayson Carter, third arm. He's the one that come in through straight fire. He got picked up by the Yankees too. So the Yankees are anchoring down apparently. He got drafted in the 5th round by the New York Yankees. Andrew Dukanich, 7th round pick from the St. Louis Cardinals. Davis Diaz in the 8th round to the A's. Condolences. Just kidding. You're going to the MLB, so that's always a huge deal. But I just say condolences because the A's are not a great program. But they're going to be moving to Vegas here pretty soon. I think they're going to stop off in Sacramento for a season and play. And then when their stadium's done in Vegas, they will make the move there. Devin Futrell, 10th rounder to the Red Sox. And Alan Espinal is joining the Golden Spikes winner, Charlie Condon, with the Colorado Rockies. He got drafted in the 11th round. Catcher Alan Espinal, who was very, very much fun to watch. These players kind of these players were very pivotal in Vandy's success down the stretch when they had to have games to get into the regional. These guys were very, very instrumental, especially Davis Diaz down the stretch. He got real hot and helped Vandy get into the regional play where they were kind of on the ropes. Grayson Carter pitched well at times, but like he was just kind of nicked up, banged up a little bit. Carter Holton, tried to hang on, but just wasn't getting run support, but had some very, very, very nice pitching outings early in the season, and just has pure left-handed talent. When you have a lefty arm with as much dynamic stuff as he has, it's always very, very good. Bryce Cunningham had a lot of quality starts for Vandy. When you don't get run support, it's tough on these pitchers, and it is, that's the case there. So, but this is a very, very good accomplishment for these guys to be selected in the MLB draft. I mean, it just gives you, it shows you that Vanderbilt still has it. a little bit. And when Tim Corbin goes to recruit, he can say, look, guys, the ultimate goal is to get an education, get a Vanderbilt education, go to postseason play. Obviously, we want to play in the College World Series, win national championships. That's the goal. But at the very least, he can say, okay, well, we may not be successful. Our league is incredible. Our league is elite. The SEC is elite because Tennessee just won the national championship. They beat Texas A&M. I think this is like the second or third year, maybe even in a row. I have to go back and fact check myself. But the fact that two SEC teams have played in the final has happened quite a bit lately. And so it's a high quality league. MLB takes you seriously, and Vanderbilt's still cranking out MLB players. And they've had a really good recruiting class so far and done really well in the portal. So I don't think Vanderbilt baseball is in a bad place. Certainly with the marketing of getting players drafted in the MLB, certainly it doesn't hurt to see 7 more guys go in the first 11 rounds of the Major League Baseball draft. So with that being said, this is all the time I've got. We're gonna take you into the weekend now. Hope you enjoy your weekend. Enjoy it responsibly. Thank you for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. However you found us, whether you found us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, thank you, and pass the word. So until then, until Monday, we'll see you. Behave yourselves. Have a good weekend. Anchor down.